Now, if we were to go into the gameplay where I'm in the face cam overlay, it's also affected that one. We don't want that. We only want the one in face cam to specifically be more contrasted. Now, we're going to turn this filter off. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to create another scene with the face cam in it, but we're going to put the filter on that scene. So we're going to go what's called into the nested selfie. We're going to go into here, and then we're going to actually add the filter specifically to the scene, not the source. So you go into filters, and I have one already pre-made, and this is just going to turn the gamma up. So now we've got this in here. So now this is how it works. Now you would think it's going to affect it in the other scene, but it doesn't. And the reason is because we've put the filter over the scene, not over the source, right? So now what you can do is actually go back in and add a scene as a source, if it's not confusing enough as it is, as a scene, as a source, and then add the nested selfie. So now you can actually toggle between having alternate things without directly affecting it. Just understand that you have to put the filters on the scenes rather than on the sources. Otherwise, if you affect the base source, it will affect every other one. So one of the most important things about having a good stream is making sure you understand audio and making sure that your levels are set. Now, obviously, you can just drag the sliders around. I've talked about what you should set your levels at to make sure you sound good. I've also made a video on making your mic sound professional. If you haven't checked that out, feel free to go check that out. Now, one of the things that I like to do is I like to set my desktop audio at about a -8. That usually is pretty comfortable for notifications and anything else that's happening on the system. But you can actually go into the advanced audio properties, specifically type in the exact number you're looking for, and then you can also lock the audio. Now, you do that by clicking on the gear and just clicking lock volume. Now, the reason this is important is because I like to use my scroll wheel a lot, and sometimes if your scroll wheel is touching this, it will actually start moving it unintentionally. So by locking your audio, it will never move. Even if you click on it, you actually have to go back in and unlock the volume. Now, it's not going to be very common that you're moving your audio, so that's why I like to lock it, because once it's set and everything sounds balanced, make sure that you're the main focus. Then there's the gameplay and the notifications. Just lock it, and then you never have to worry about it again. So the 14th thing that I want to tell you about, and it actually goes along with locking and cleaning up your interface, is you can actually hide media sliders. So one of the things that I do is I have an animated overlay here that's considered a media source, but it's not actually making any sound, so I don't need this slider. So all I do is mute it just to make sure that if anything ever bugs out, there's no audio coming through. And then I actually just go in and hide it. So now it's back to being clean. Now I can see my desktop audio and I can see my mic source as well. And if you ever need to image here actually is a direct shape of this rectangle here. So now if you look, my face cam specifically looks like this. So how this filter works is it operates by using a theme file, PNG, and then whatever has the alpha layer transparency, it will remove from the source that it's been applied to. So I'm using what's called a bubble mask, and it literally just uses the same image, and then I apply it directly to it. And then if I wanted to, I could put the bubble outline in there, and it would sit directly on top of that. So why don't we do that? We'll add the image, and we'll just call it image, and then we'll browse, and we'll do the bubble outline. And then all I would have to do is resize it to where I want it. Got to play around with it a little bit, make sure the edges touch. Use the arrow keys to fine tune it, and there you go. You now have an overlay. Speaking of streaming, if you haven't, feel free to go follow me over at twitch.tv/pixelperfect. I'll leave a link in the description down below. Don't forget to also hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to help me grow. I greatly appreciate it. It actually makes it so when you jump from scene to scene, it looks fancy. So basically right now it's just cutting, right? That's just a hard jump. It's jarring. It's not enjoyable to look at. So what you could actually do is change it to, let's say, a fade, and you can set the millisecond, the duration, how long it takes to fade. consistent all the way through each scene. So always make sure that it's set to crossfade, monitor off, and then you can even click preview transition. So now you see how it's gone. It's changed. That was too early. You saw how it changed the scene still before it actually blinked. So what we have to do is try and guess, we'll say 80 frames, and then preview transition. Still too early. So then you just set, we'll say 90 frames, preview transition. And that was actually just a little too early. We'll set it to 100 frames. Preview transition. It's going to go. Boom. Now you don't see the scene change. Go over, and when you change this, it's going to go, flip,